Hey guys, the Boom Boom Show, another great one with you. We're talking women's MMA and everything about MMA and everything about life right now. We've got Valerie Letourneau in studio. Let's go. Hi Valerie, how are you?
I'm good, Jamie. How you been?
Yeah, I've been good. We're doing this show. We're trying to, just spread the word for MMA. We're trying to, especially people who come from Quebec, and you're one of the pioneers of MMA in Quebec, women's MMA. So much to get to, so much to talk about.
We need more of this.
Yes, we need more. We're so thrilled to have you in studio. I was so lucky to have Corinne. She said she talks so much about you, so highly of you, that you're like a mentor for her and for so many people, for myself, everybody that fought MMA. You were beginning the journey, and you made it happen. You really showed us that it could happen. And
it could happen.
It could happen
Definitely.
in Montreal.
Sometimes I still can't believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, it went so fast, but it took so long at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we were talking just off air and about all your experiences and your age now and when you started. So talk to me really about like the beginning of MMA, like how it started for you, because right now it seems it's a little clean. The girls know they can enter an MMA gym. Maybe there's some amateur fights, but back in the day it wasn't so easy. So how does someone start MMA? What martial art did you start with, and how did you become a UFC and Bellator title contender?
It's quite a long story, but to start, I was in a juvenile center, and they told me that I needed to start doing sport, any type of sport, but I had so much aggressivity. And then I was about 15 when I got out of there, and I chose to do kickboxing, and I fell in love with it right away. I wanted to train twice a day, every day. So it became a passion for me. And then in the same gym, they started to teach jiu-jitsu. So, and then George St. Pierre actually started to teach there at some point. So that's how I met George. And then having George as an example, we're going there and watch him fight. So I was seeing all these men making the big show about everything that I like, which was kickboxing and jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And I'm like, I want to do it all. That's the best world to me, to be able to mix both of these passions together. Mm-hmm. So there was no women on the scene. There was only a couple men's actually that were able to.
So in your gym, you were training strictly with guys?
Strictly with guys. There was absolutely no women, and that was only big guys. I was lucky when I met you. Yeah. So yeah, that was only guys, but I didn't care. I liked my
circle, I guess.
Yeah,
it was a nice group. Yeah,
exactly. It was a nice group, good people, and I was spending all my time there. But there was absolutely no opportunities for women. So I started to compete in kickboxing and the few jiu-jitsu competition that I could make, but there was no women, so they were putting me with the guys. And then that was not really fun for them, because you're like, you don't want to hurt the girl, but we just made it work. And then I was just dreaming to be the first woman to compete as a professional athlete in mixed martial art. And it took so many years. I was I think it's in 2006. So I was in my 20s. So between 15 and 23 something. It was quite a long time. I had my daughter between that. So I just got a call 2 weeks notice, and then there was a show in Nova Scotia. So I went.
MMA show.
MMA
Professional.
show. Professional.
You hadn't fought amateur.
I fought amateur in kickboxing.
But not MMA.
There was no MMA. I don't think it was even legal.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually did one fight. One fight when I was 18, and I'm not even sure it was legal. It was at the Scratch at Laval.
Yeah, I remember that.
MMA
the
rules,
bar.
like no protection, real MMA gloves. And then it's not on my record, but that was my only experience in MMA. But there was no, they started this show after that you could have big gloves, but you could grapple, which I totally hated, because it's not the same as when you fight with small gloves. And then you were just catching your experience as you could on jiu-jitsu competition, kickboxing, boxing. So I did all that as much as I could. And then, switched to MMA. So I won this first fight, but what after this? Like, there was no other show.
Oh, you won in Nova Scotia.
I won this one. And then Stéphane Patry keeps saying for TKO, no women would ever fight on my show.
Oh, God.
This is
just
ridiculous.
Like Dana White.
And I could see like all the guys I was training with was like Jonathan Goulet, Claveau, Pat Côté, George.
Québécois legends, yeah.
Yeah,
the sport,
I was driving all the way every Friday with my daughter to Victoriaville. We were training there. So making this trip just to train with the guys. And then at some point, this is like, she deserves it. She's doing everything that we do. Well, why can she fight?
Did people think you were crazy, like your family
I
or
was
people around
crazy.
you?
I was totally crazy. It didn't
Because
make
it's
any
crazy
sense.
enough for men to do it, but the stigma around women, I mean, now it's more normal, but especially we know, like you said, 15, 18 years ago was not easy for men, you're saying, to find fights. Imagine women.
Exactly.
So hats off to you and the women who persevered.
So the big thing was like, one day has this Gina Carano fight against Julie Kedzie. It became very like, I wouldn't say popular, but that was
Mainstream.
A lot of, yeah.
Was that, what was that, Affliction or what was that?
It was
or one of those, like Affliction or
what's
the
the
other
name?
one. Yeah, the other one. Elite XC or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was that.
Maybe that, or Strike Force.
So,
something
one of these
yeah.
promotion, yeah. Anyway, so then I got the call from Stéphane Patry. And not only for a TKO that I wanted to fight for at the Bell Center. It was my second
That's
fight.
fine. Yeah.
So that was all dreams come true, being the first female to fight in Montreal on a pro
Yeah.
show. And I've lost this fight so bad. I don't know if you saw my fight against Sarah Kaufman.
Yeah, I've seen them all. To go back and remember all your fights. They're all great though.
Oh my God. But that
and
was
Sarah
like
Kaufman's a UFC fighter, another Canadian, very, very tough, much bigger than you too. She never
Yeah.
fought as low as you
yeah,
fought.
I thought I was big, but I was very small.
Very small,
next to her.
yeah.
So anyway, I lost this fight, but still, got my experience from fighting in Montreal at the Bell Center. So I just kept on going, and I had more opportunities here and there. I think I fought for 9 different promotions. So you had to hustle, like whatever was coming, you just take it. There's sometimes I've spent almost 2 years without fighting. Either I had injuries or there was just no woman that I could fight. And then
how do you stay motivated through that? Like for that, I mean, this goes for anybody out there doing any endeavor. Like, how do you stay motivated when the fighting, it looks bleak? You don't know when the next fight is. You don't know if women's MMA is going to be recognized or how. I
think you all still. What's frustrating me is that you guys are all still going through this right now because there's not much going on
with COVID.
in
Yeah.
Quebec. Not just with COVID. There's not many MMA shows in
No,
Quebec.
that's why
So
you
for
talked about Stéphane. Hats off to Stéphane Patry, who gave us a platform to perform.
Exactly. And it was a good platform. It was like actually a very professional show that he was doing. We didn't know at that time, but now I know because I've been fighting for so many different promotions. But
so staying motivated, how do you do it? Is it just self-talk? Is it the love of the game?
It's definitely the love of the game, the passion. And then, I had the ups and downs. Sometimes I felt like quitting, but I was spending 2 weeks out of the gym and I was getting totally crazy. I loved it so much. I was missing it every day. The toughest part also is it just doesn't make any sense for anyone around you. Every single person around you is telling you, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing this? Being all messed up. I had bruises on my face every week.
Yeah.
That was a new spot. I don't know if you remember. I
Well,
always had the black eye.
I think myself, you, GSP, we have that, like, they call it the white boy skin, because I'm the same way. You touch me, I bruise. I heal fast, but I know George, you see some of his fights, we always joke about that together because I'm the same way. I mean, I'm the kind of guy I bruise so easy. Like, my father's Italian, but I really have the white boy. My mother's French Irish.
If you look at us after a fight, even if we win,
you
really
bad.
think that
I
we
was
got
the
beat up
same.
pretty
Yeah.
bad. So just in training, I was getting beat up so bad. My face was always messed up. I didn't care about that, but for the people around you, if you talk to your mom, if you talk to your friends, even financially, it doesn't make, there's no logic around that. It just doesn't make any sense. So you're on your own. You have to motivate yourself on your own. And I loved it so much that I just kept on going. And at the time I was about to quit here and there, opportunity would come. So it just kept me on going.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened for the UFC, because I remember at 29, I was about to retire. At 30, I was about to retire. At 31, I was about to retire. I was just keep telling myself, let's do 1 more year. And my body also, I was paying the price. I remember I had already 2 shoulder surgery when I was 30. I was in pain already, but when you see opportunities like, okay, a bigger show, and your manager is telling you, okay, 1 more fight, and you can probably sign with this promotion. It's like, okay, 1 more fight, and then you win the fight. So that's just how it happened. That's how I stayed there for so long, thankfully, because the gift I had at the end of all this was to sign with the UFC, and it's so addictive because my first dream was just to be the first pro female fighter here. After I wanted to fight for TKO. I wanted to fight at the Bell Center. I did. Not only I did 4 times. After this, it was always something else. I
Signed with a big show.
assign. You want to sign with the big show, and then when I heard that they were opening the 135 weight class for the women, it's not the time for me to quit. I've been doing all this for what
Yeah.
then? So
Was that a big motivator too, to see Ronda Rousey and to see the UFC open up your division?
huge.
Yeah.
I was ready to quit everything that
And
I was doing.
I hate to go there, but how old were you at that point?
I was probably 30.
Okay,
when
so
they
it's not
announced
like
it.
it's not like you were like, young enough to say I'm in my prime. You maybe were in your prime, but you weren't young.
I
You were
was
fighting
not
for
in
a
my
long
prime.
time.
My body was telling me I was not in my prime.
Yeah, yeah.
I knew that, but I would have regretted so much.
If you didn't
The
take it,
only
yeah.
thing that I keep telling myself, if I'm not doing it, I'm going to regret it for the rest of my
Mm-hmm.
life. And I would have.
Well,
Sincerely.
like you said, you can't go 2 weeks without training. Imagine the rest of your life
So-
knowing that the opportunity was in the door.
Even since I retired. Sometimes I regret that I retired, but
Oh
I
my
know
God.
why I did,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
know I've been
Well, you
thinking about
accomplished
it
so
for-
much. The reality is you really did accomplish so much, and that's why we're so proud of you. And the other thing too is, what I wanted to ask you is, so at what point do you say, okay, how far are you from signing with the UFC that the UFC incorporates women's fighters?
I was really close. My record wasn't that good, but my only loss was against Sarah Kaufman, which was, I think, ranked number 1 pretty much in the world in the 135 division. Alexis Davis, that was ranked like number 2 or 3, and Claudia Gadella, that was ranked number 1 at 115 or 125 pounds. So 2 of them were split decision. So they knew that I was a tough fighter, and I was like this close to be at that level. But I fought the toughest girl that I could have,
Right.
pretty much worldwide in my first couple of fights. The other thing though, it was hard for me to get a fight, because if you're a good coach, you want to protect your athlete. You seeing this girl, I'm not the fight that the girls were looking for.
Hell no.
No. So
Hell no.
it was really
Trouble.
hard. It was hard, but when I moved with American Top Team, it's a whole different story over there. They have a lot of amateur show, so there's some women that are coming that actually had more fights than myself turning pro, because
Yeah.
they had like 10 amateur fights that were pretty much like pro fights.
Yep.
So it was getting hard.
With small
easier.
gloves in a cage, small cage,
Exact.
yeah.
So with a good manager that he had contact everywhere in the U.S., well, he was able to find a couple girls that I was ready to fight for free. I knew I was about one fight to get in UFC, one win. They didn't care who I was going to fight, because my last loss was against Claudia, a split decision. So that's it. They got me this fight, and I won in 30 seconds. And it was the last minute. The girl pulled out, and they gave me another girl that
Where
wasn't
was that?
ready at all. It was in 2013. And then 2 weeks after, I got the call for the UFC.
What show was that? The 2013 show.
It's XFN.
Okay, so one of
I think.
those
It's in
Florida based, yeah. So you talked about the move to ATT. We've talked about this before. Really, you're a native Quebecois. You love Quebec. We love it here. We love Canada. What was that like moving? Because I know you've talked about many times. Your heart was at Tristar. You love the people at Tristar. You love the coaches. You love the environment. You really,
grew
we could
up
see in your
there.
eyes. You grew up there, and when you'd come, you'd train, and
You're gonna
you
make
just
me
loved
cry.
it. But so I didn't want to put you on the spot. But what was that like to move to? Because again, there's nothing wrong with moving to ATT, and like you said, there's more women, there's more opportunity. Florida's beautiful. Florida is beautiful. So what's that move? What was that move like? Because you had a daughter too. It's not like you're packing up alone. You had a daughter.
Exactly. The toughest thing was my daughter. I'm very confident. Like, not that I was definitely not rich financially, but I'm very confident. I'm a confident person in a way where if it's not working this way, I'm going to find another way. So I didn't care if I was going to be successful or not over there. I knew that I had to make this move if I wanted to go on a big scene. Otherwise, I retire. It's like
Being
you
stubborn
go
helped
or-
you. It changed your life. Being stubborn kept you focused on that goal. When many people would have probably told you, "What are you doing? There's no women's MMA. There's no UFC. There's no big platform. There's no."
You have to be stubborn. And I've told that to Corinne multiple times, because I could see, being in her environment, what she was going through. Her family is supportive, but these little words, when you finish a fight, you have this big cut, and
She has a full-time job too. She's a dental hygienist. Works hard.
And to be able to train, you have to work. How are you going to pay these coaches? Like, yes, some people's going to help you, but not everybody's going to train you for free. They have to make money as well.
Yeah.
So this all struggle, like you just need to be, like you said, stubborn, and then
Focused.
Focus.
So how do you take your daughter and say we're going to Florida?
I'm lucky that her dad accepted this. She was in school. So what I did is that I moved in December. I did a couple tryouts at the gym to make sure that I really liked it. And then she had to finish her school year here. And I had to get organized over there. You just don't move with a kid with your pack and then you don't even know where you're going to live. I wouldn't do this to my daughter. So her dad was fine with this. I was going to fly back and forward and get all my shit together over there. And then Gabby would come after her school year finished. So that's what we did. But those months were super hard. But at the same time, it was the first time of my life where I didn't have to work full time during the day, get up in the morning, take my daughter to school. It was the first time that I could experience training like a real pro athlete. Like I'm used to see all these guys at Tristar, and I could look at Firas like, what a total miss. I was always late, running. Because I dropped off my daughter to school. I was going to teach a couple class. I was already late to go for the sparring. And after the sparring, my heart was pounding because I was already late to pick up my daughter. That's how
we talked about
all the days.
Being focused. Producer Pascal is making me read the book, The One Thing, to be focused, to not spin your tires on so many things. Because I'm the same, I think that there's a certain element of that to be a high performance athlete where you know that you have to put all your eggs in that basket to train, and you want to do other things. You want to please other people. You want to be there for other people. But the reality is that you have to be a bit selfish. To be a top performer, your training has to be number one. But yes, there's other things in life, like you said, that come up.
Well, to me, my daughter was not an option. I had her. So, and I had to provide financially, not only for myself. I want her to have a good life. That was not negotiable. Like I wanted her to be comfortable, have a good home.
So she was living after that summer that she came to see you. She did her next year in Florida.
Yeah, she did her next. So she finished in June. And then she moved with me. And she was excited about it. When she got there, she was acting a little bit crazy because she was pissed that I left her for a couple months in Montreal. Yeah. And then it was hard on me to get to this rhythm, but I knew I did it before. Right. And on top of it, I was working. Right. Now I had a few sponsors that was helping me out to make this move in Florida. So, but those few months, I evolved so much, even when my daughter wasn't there, because that's all I was doing, training 6 hours a day. They were kicking me out of the gym, like telling me, Val, you've been here for 8 hours, just get out of here. I was like, all sweaty. I've lost, I think, 10 or 15 pounds in the last couple months. And I know the weather does have an effect on me. In Florida, I had much more energy. I was never sick. I was always sick here in the winter. So this is all the plus. And I had huge support from this team. The good thing is they took me seriously from the beginning. And I was lucky because you really have to prove, how much you want it when you step into such a big gym. You wouldn't see anyone arriving at Tristar and then you think Firas would just say, oh, yeah, let's go spar with George St. Pierre and just do whatever you want. You have to go.
You have to earn your keep, for sure.
So, but no, of course, I was missing my team. And then I literally grew up at Tristar. I've been through so much at Tristar. All the coaches there, people that I loved, you guys. So, but, that's what I had to do to make it work.
So we talked about, obviously, the hardships you went through and having to move with your daughter. But now let's talk about something fun. UFC 193. You go to Australia, you fight Joanna Jędrzejczyk. On the undercard, the co-main event, it was a beautiful card because, you got Ronda Rousey and Holly Holm fighting in the main event. And the co-main event, you have yourself, a Quebecois girl, a hometown girl fighting Joanna.
Isn't it crazy? Like, we were two women.
Back-to-back main events.
Back-to-back main events. Just that. How much forward we've moved, I was so proud to be part of this. It was the biggest show of the history on top of it, this all packaged together.
Yeah, I remember watching it. I had goosebumps when you were walking out because I'm like, because I'm an athlete. I'm an athlete through and through. Yeah, you too. And I see me and Pascal. He wants to be an Olympic taekwondo. That was his dream too when he was growing up. So he's high level taekwondo. I'm a high level wrestler, and we always talk about those moments of seeing someone they finally make it. And watching you finally make it, I was like, man, that's so cool. Like, it was like, I could not believe in all the people in Dana White saying that the women will never fight in the UFC, and I've seen you move to Florida, and like I'm like thinking, I remember when you moved to Florida, like, hey, what is she doing that for? Like you don't understand, but everybody has their journey, and I realize that now when you're done, you say, oh my God, everybody has a journey. So that was an awesome moment. So what's that like? Talk me through that process of like, at what point did you receive the phone call saying you're going to fight Joanna? Did you know? I don't think there was a ranking system back then, but you were doing super well. And what was that like leading up to that fight? Like, was it spontaneous or?
I just walked through it because it happened so quick. I just fought Marina Rose, and after the fight, I didn't know how much they were pushing for her to fight for the belt, but my coaches knew. They just didn't put that pressure on me.
But it was your first fight at 115.
It was my second fight. At
Second
115.
fight, okay.
So I don't think the UFC expected me to win this fight.
And this, I don't want to talk. We don't like pushing people's weight on this show, but that was a huge sacrifice because we did talk about earlier. You were fighting at 135, and we're talking about 115 now.
Listen, my first fight I was 132.
Yeah, and you're by no stretch of the imagination, not a big girl. You walked in here, you're a tiny girl, but 115 is a small individual for anybody.
I'm probably 150 right now, 150 or 155.
Pascal, edit that out. We don't need that in the show. Edit that out.
But I mean, imagine for me to drop. I'm not big at 150, so for me to drop at 115 pounds.
No, it's correct. I remember thinking like, how is she making this? And then
I made a lot of people cry, myself including myself.
And you used JF as well. Because
JF, oh my God.
Because after that motivated me to use JF. Because I was like, hey, I can make 125 if she can make 115. Because I was fighting at 35, wrestling at 35. Yeah.
JF can sell anything now. He's made me do 115. He can make you do pretty much. You want to fight that 90 pounds, I think he can make you do it.
No, I know. Because he would tell me, like, look, I went through this with Valerie. You just need to water load. I was like, I'm gaining weight. I don't want to water load anymore.
It's doable, but... Listen, this is totally insane. It's not easy. It's so tough. Even for the people there, they have to be really strong mentally because they're seeing you suffer. There's no other way. You will suffer. It's just, almost passing out, spending hours and hours, and the women's body is totally
not the same.
Different.
No, it's not the same.
So
it's not. I'm starting to coach women now, especially in wrestling. It's not the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Their cutting weight is completely different, especially during hormonal cycles and all kinds of stuff.
If you're in your cycle, if you're stressed, you keep the water. It's just like she's just spent 2 hours in the bath. She's lost 0.2 pounds.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What is this?
It's insane. Yeah.
So, yeah, everybody has to be tough mentally, and we do what we gotta do until we make the weight.
But did you have time to enjoy the moment of saying, "Oh, I'm gonna fight on a main event, co-main event"?
The time I had is that I arrived a month before,
Australia,
maybe 4 weeks before in Florida. And my mom was in Florida, in Australia, and my mom went to Florida for this entire month. So my daughter was staying in the same home, going to school, not being distracted from anything. So I had this peace of mind. And then I did enjoy Australia, still going through my fight camp. And that's one amazing place. Such a great people over there. And then I wanted to stay after, but I was so beat up and so heartbroken from the fight. I was planning to stay for another 2 weeks.
But don't be hard on yourself. It was a phenomenal fight. Like we saw, Joanna at that time was pound for pound the best by far, finishing everyone, and she couldn't finish. The reality is she couldn't finish you. Like it was tough. I mean, your kickboxing style matched her Muay Thai style perfectly. Like I rewatched the fight. I'm saying there's moments in that fight where you could have, if you would just pushed a little harder, I felt like you could have finished her. And Joanna at that time was like, a lot of people in my circle were like, oh, Valerie's going there to die. But you really...
That's what everybody thought. But, that was a good thing because I'm the type of person, if you think that I can't,
you will.
I will do anything.
Well, look at all these adversities, doing MMA, moving to Florida, making 115, now fighting against a killer at 115.
Yeah.
It's like that's your reward. Like it's bad enough you have to make the weight, but you have to fight a killer who was at the time.
Super proud of this
we should
fight.
be, yeah.
So, but, it was still hard, and it's still hard. I'm hard on myself because I knew that I could have won the fight. It's something that I've trained with Joanna after this. She moved to my gym, so we were always partnering together.
That's right. After that, you trained with her so much.
I saw that people...
You guys are friends now?
Well, friends. We stay in touch. We went for lunch a couple times together, and then people were stopping at the gym. It was like...
Watching you guys spar?
Joanna is going to spar right now.
Yeah,
Everybody stopped what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it was always like 400%... throwing each other everywhere.
Because you're both that competitive nature, I guess.
Yes, and then She's a big girl as well.
Oh,
We
yeah,
walk
really?
almost at the same weight. So
She's that big?
She's cutting a lot of weight. We are
But
built different.
yeah.
She has more legs.
Big
her
legs,
hips are,
yeah,
you know, we're
yeah.
just not made the same. I have more a bigger upper body, but she's not much shorter than myself.
Okay.
So both of us, full weight, full strength.
Let's go.
It was very.
We
fun
should pay
train.
to watch. We should put that up and pay to watch that. Put that on pay-per-view.
This is one person that seriously, I don't think that there's her and Kayla Harrison, but definitely Joanna is the top one in the type of person that pushed herself in the gym. There's no light training with JoJo.
Right.
Whoever spar with her, you have to be alert. Like, she's not gonna go easy on
Mm-hmm.
anyone. It's always 100%, and she's working really hard.
So, what's it like now? I mean, do you said you keep in touch with her? You're living here in Quebec. Do you still get some MMA training in, or what's
Not much of MMA training. My body, but first of all, the first year that I retired, I was just so very sad, and I kind of didn't want to hear about it. I was just heartbroken.
You're talking about after the Bellator championship fight?
After the Bellator
Yeah, because you
championship.
also, I mean, we did talk a lot about UFC,
Yeah,
but you
yeah,
also
but I
fought
did.
Valerie, what's her name, the champ from Bellator?
Lima.
Yeah, Lima McFarlane. McFarlane, yeah. You fought her, and she, you fought for the world title in Bellator after
That's
fighting
another person that I knew I could have beat.
Mm-hmm.
I was going down the hill physically. There's a lot of things. That's why I retired, because actually we had to adjust my training for my 3-4 last camp.
It's not fun, right? When you get older and you want to do twice a day, but your body can't anymore.
I was doing twice a day, but it was more like technically there's a lot of things I couldn't do anymore, and we had to adjust. When you walk in a fight and you know how I was always like, I don't care about being in pain or whatever, but there's a lot of technique that I couldn't do anymore. My left heart was giving up on me. So I know if I was on the ground, it was going to be really hard for me to get up with only one arm. There's a lot of technique that we were adjusting during training. The coach is like, don't even practice this, because if you do this in a fight, the fight will be over. Like, my left arm is not moving.
I have the issues now. Like,
but
there's some techniques I just can't. I wish guys, I can't do it.
And my arm doesn't move this way anymore. It's just like it doesn't bend.
Yeah.
So when you walk in a fight, instead of being like you want to kill the other ones, like I gotta be careful with this, I gotta be careful with that, and then you get
the mentality.
in the position,
you have to.
It's not fun anymore. But once again, I knew I was this close from this opportunity to fight for a title fight for Bellator, so I just kept on going. But I knew it was going to be my last fight. I just wanted to win this belt and get out of there. And then I had to get out of there without getting the belt.
Yeah, I think again, it's all about the journey. I think we're, as athletes, as high performance athletes, we're very hard on ourselves, and we don't look at ourselves as winners. Where the rest of the world looking at us as winners, but you might be looking at Ronda Rousey or, like you said, Joanna, or someone that had the belt, but it doesn't mean that you're not a winner.
We always want more.
We always want more.
I'm glad that you talk about it. Like I said, I just started, like, I wanted to be the first pro female fighter. After this, I wanted to have something else. And after something else, I wanted to have something else.
If you don't appreciate the journey, you'll never be happy with the result, because, then there's going to be something else after that.
That's what I've learned.
You have to appreciate that. People look at me all the time, and I didn't have the greatest MMA career, but I started at 20, like until 29, I didn't even throw a punch. I didn't even know how to box until
sparring. I know you were gonna get it quick though.
Yeah, I didn't know how to punch, so I had to wrestle and figure it out. And my first sparring partners were you, Yves Jabouin, Ivan Menjivar, Ayman Zahabi, Louis. Like, these are my first sparring partners, and I'm learning, like, on the go. It's like learning to play poker with high stakes, like very, very high stakes.
True.
But I think, when other people look at me and they say, "Oh, you did really well," and I fought for 2 major world titles, still, like, they're not UFC Bellator, but I look back and I have to say, look, it wasn't that bad. There's people who want to be where I want to be. I want to be where people want to be, and there's other.
We have to be grateful. There's so many people that would love to experience that, and
like you said, you would regret it if you hadn't.
And then I was crying and crying and crying for months after that. I retired. I was feeling like a loser. Why I did all that for nothing.
Yeah, for nothing.
I don't even have a piece of something.
But can you imagine the other outsiders looking at you, looking at UFC 193 and knowing that you were there?
Thankfully, I have friends like David Loiseau who's been through this. Someone I was really looking up to was Mike Brown. There's not many people that I was following as a fighter. I was training a lot, but I was not watching fight. But Mike Brown, I was looking up to him. And then when I moved to
champion.
ATT, he became my coach. And we went through this whole experience of the championship fight experience. And when I told him how I felt, as I'm like I haven't accomplished anything.
Yeah.
He just couldn't believe. Like, he was so upset. He's like, Val, you don't know what I would have give to be in your place when you fought for the championship fights. It was an amazing experience just for them to be able to be there and to coach. And then I just realized, like, the people that I'm looking up to felt that I'm actually blessed to have experienced what I did. So I have to start to be grateful myself and just like, that's amazing what I've been through. And that's how you have to see it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, anyway, probably even if I would have won the belt, it would have been something else.
Yeah.
So
you would say, "Oh, I could have finished her. I would have won differently."
Yeah,
and
I should have beat this other
and then after
girl,
that, I stayed in there too long and I got hurt. There's always something,
so there's
you know.
always something.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's what it took me a while to understand. Now I'm super grateful, and I'm just like keeping those good memories.
And do you look at the landscape now of MMA and you're kind of not bitter, but you kind of think, hey, they have it easier because of everything that you had to go through? Is it like, it is the reality, right? I mean, it is.
No.
It's tougher because there are so many girls now that are fighting.
Yes, it's not. There's no jealousy. I'm super proud because in my mind,
You were part of the pioneer.
yeah, I paved the way for them. That I'm super proud of. When I'm seeing girls like Corinne, like, I want to help them so much. And, you know, I wish I could have someone that would explain the way she feels is normal, the way, like, people would talk to her to try to discourage her, the type of move that she has to do for her career in order to make it. And she's pretty much at the same place as I was when I was in my 31. I think she's 31 now. You don't have that many years in front of you. It has to happen right now.
Yeah.
So the small decision you will take will have a huge impact on you make it or not.
Yeah.
So you have to start to listen to the people that were there before.
Yeah.
Which she's doing. But yeah, I'm seeing all these women, and also the paycheck went so much higher.
Oh my
I
gosh.
didn't spend that long in the UFC, so I made good money there. But imagine if I could have spent 10 years in the UFC or Bellator. So that side hurts a little bit, but at the same time, I'm like I said, we have to be grateful.
Yeah, yeah.
I did. They could have been 0 years.
You did great. You did. I mean, we're proud of you here on BTC on the show. Everybody in Quebec. Yeah, I just want to thank you. I mean, that's pretty much it. We talked so much more depth than I thought we'd do, but we had to catch up. It's been a while that we don't catch up, and yeah, I just want to thank you for doing this. It was so neat to catch up and talk about your experience.
It's
and
a pleasure. Like I said, we need more of this. We need more people to talk about our sport.
Yes.
And we have so many great athletes in Quebec. And it's quite sad on top of it with COVID, but it's really hard for you guys in Quebec to make it to the big scene because we don't have this first step with the amateur fights. We don't have these organization, and then.
Yeah, I'm here. We'll be here, BTC, myself, Merlin, Pascal. We're going to hype you guys up. We'll put you guys on the camera, whatever I can do, even if there's our humble following. That's it. Thank you, Val. Guys, I'm the Bee's Knees. I'm the Cat's Pajamas. Jamie Boom Boom. Like, comment, subscribe. It does help the channel. We hate saying it, but it actually does help the channel. And that's Valerie Letourneau, guys. Go back. You can see her fights. They still exist in the YouTube sphere. And that's it. Thanks.
Thanks, Jamie.
Peace.